Hello, my name is Wakley. I'm a guitar teacher from Lansing, Michigan. If you've ever wondered what's the first thing I should learn when I pick up a guitar for the first time, this video is for you. I'm going to briefly go over a couple things as far as proper holding and fretting techniques, and then I'm going to give you a finger exercise that's going to help build strength and get you going. Alright, so real briefly, as far as holding the guitar, there's a couple different thoughts behind holding it. First being on your right leg, second being on your left leg. That's the more classical mindset, and will look something more like this. It creates a nice angle of the neck that makes it a little more accessible. You can create a similar angle just by tilting your guitar if you use your right leg. I generally use my right leg. Also, if you can put your foot on something to elevate your leg just a little bit more, brings the guitar up closer to where you're at and makes it more accessible to your hands. Otherwise, the curve of the guitar is designed to sit on your leg, and your arm should come across approximately like so, putting your wrist around the bridge area of the guitar, and just whatever feels comfortable and seems right to you. Other than that, just keeping the flat part of your neck perpendicular with the floor. If you tilt your guitar back like this, you're going to have to bend your wrist excessively, and you're going to find it to be a little bit painful after you start to play a little bit. So, like so. As far as with your left hand technique, as a general rule, thumb towards the middle of the back of the neck gives you a good amount of squeeze ability so that you can fret your notes. You'll see a lot of guitar players bring their thumb up and sometimes even play with their thumb. Not totally uncommon. So anywhere from the middle of the back of the neck to up in here is acceptable. And again, that comes down to really what feels comfortable for you. Nobody's hands are exactly the same, so there's no exact right and wrong. The main thing to consider is trying to keep your wrist straight as much as possible. Your forearm should be more or less perpendicular to the neck. That'll help with keeping the wrist straight. If you do this a lot, then you're going to get some bend there that you don't want. Alright, moving on to fretting. Fretting just refers to putting your fingers on the guitar and playing notes. That's all fretting. And the metal bars that you see running across, those are the frets. So we call it fretting because we're using the frets to make note changes. And basically every time you press down a fret, you're making the string shorter, which raises the pitch. So anytime you push down a note, you're raising the pitch, no matter what string you're on. So that's how we achieve making all sorts of different notes and sounds all over the guitar. So there's three main things to think about when you're fretting notes. First being where your finger is in proximity to the fret. Now, as a general rule, you want your finger as close to the fret as possible without being right on top. If you're right on top, you get this kind of sound, a little deadened, possibly some buzzing going on there. If you're too far back, you get some buzzing there, that kind of sound. If you move it up, nice, clean, clear sound. Next thing to think about is curling your fingers. The more you use the tips of your fingers, the better tone you'll get, and the less you'll have problem with when you start to play chords. If you don't curl your fingers, they'll block the strings, so the one you're fingering that's lowest might come out. You might get the last one out. This is typical when you learn your open C, open G chord. Most beginning students have a problem with that, and then the fix is just curling those fingers out. Okay? Now, to add more curl to your fingers without doing this to your wrist, it's a good idea to pop that elbow out, and it's automatically gonna give you a little more curl. So finger proximity to the fret, nice curling, and elbow pop. And those are going to be the keys to fixing if you're trying to play something and notes aren't coming out right, you're getting bad buzz sounds, something just doesn't sound right. Try and fix each individual one of those three things, and chances are it'll fix the problem. Alright, so now let's talk about this little finger exercise. Basically, the idea of this exercise is just to build strength in your fingers. It realistically takes some time. For a lot of students, it's even a month or two before the guitar starts to feel comfortable, because you're using your fingers in a way that have never really been used before. So this exercise will help speed that process up and make it so that in a shorter amount of time you'll be able to comfortably execute chords and riffs that you may not be able to do otherwise. So the idea here is based on a chromatic scale. It's not exactly a chromatic scale, but you're just taking the first, second, third, and fourth fret on all 6 strings and playing them consecutively. Now, anytime you play a note on the first fret, you want to use your first finger or your pointer finger. Anytime you play a note on the second fret, you want to use your second finger or middle finger. Third fret, third finger or ring finger, and fourth fret, fourth finger or pinky. Okay? And we're just gonna go one after another, remembering the 3 things we talked about. If you can't do this span that I'm doing with all your fingers staying on the fretboard at first, that's okay. Just do one after another, letting go of the previous one as you go, to allow you to not have to spread your fingers so far apart. Eventually, as the muscles build, that will become easier, and over time you'll be able to even stretch further than 4 frets. But for now, that's the goal. So we're going to go 1 through 4 on all 6 strings. You want to focus on keeping a nice clear tone and a good rhythm. I'm stopping after each one just for the sake of instructional purposes. When you get to the end, you want to go backwards. Going backwards is going to be much more difficult because you're going to have to line up the next finger ahead of time. Otherwise, you're going to find that you're hitting open strings a lot. So it should look like this. Okay? Okay? So at first, nice and slow, good sound quality, even tempo, tap your foot, think 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you can go all the way up and back down without messing up, then speed it up a little bit. And if you do this every day, you know, spend even 5 minutes a day doing that, in the course of a couple of weeks, your fingers are going to be significantly more stronger. And you'll find it much easier when it comes time to learn that Led Zeppelin riff you've been wanting to learn, or that Hendrix riff that sounds super cool, or fretting those chords so you can strum along to your favorite song. So just give that a try, and you should see some good results as far as your fingers becoming more functionable on the guitar. Thanks a lot.